Hello friends, today we'll do a poem, The Garden, written by the great English poet Andrew Marvell. Andrew Marvell is yet another metaphysical poet, just as John Donne was. In this poem, the poet speaks about the garden. We will have to see the beauty of this poem with reference to the title. You must have visited a garden, but the poet entitles it as The Garden. After we have studied this poem fully, we will try to see the suitability of the article, the, written in the title. So, we all know that garden is a place which is a whole world of colors. Primarily green, it contains all colors which are present on this earth. So, it is a colorful world. It is the world of joy. It is the world of repose. Repose meaning rest. So, the eyes that are pained to see the harsh colors of the world will find a sense of rest in a place which is garden. But Andrew Marvell has created for us the place which is the garden. So we begin the poem, The Garden. The poet begins by saying, how vainly men themselves amaze to win the palm, the oak, or bays. He ridicules. Andrew Marvell ridicules those people who are vain in their attitude. To be vain means unnecessarily proud. So those people who are unnecessarily proud and amaze themselves, delight their own self by saying that they have a palm, they have an oak, or they have a base tree. And their incessant labors see, crowned from some single herb or tree. So they make incessant means unstopping labors. If people own one tree, they start putting in too much of their efforts and they become so proud, vainly proud about that they put all their labors in just one tree. They plant a tree and they keep madly caring about it. And they are crowned, all their labors are crowned. That means their work is rewarded when they are able to grow a single herb. Herb is a very small plant. So when people actually do plant a tree, what do they get? Sometimes their plant might not grow very big and it might remain only very small like a herb, or it might grow as a tree. So what people do generally is that they plant one tree in their lifetime. And such people are actually vain. They are unnecessarily, very stupidly proud of themselves, and they are delighted with the idea that they possess. To win means they possess one palm, a tree that has grown very tall, an oak which becomes very broad and lasts for years, or bay. Bay is a tree that gives medicinal herbs. So the poet makes fun of those people who labor very hard to grow just one tree, whose short and narrow verged shade does prudently their toils upbraid. So these trees, they have very short and narrow verged. Verged is spread. So the shade which is short and narrow, they grow such trees which give very small shade. And it prudently means sufficiently, proudly, toils, labors, upbraid, reward. So one tree rewards the labors of that person, while all flowers and all trees do close to weave the garlands of repose. Underline this. The garlands of repose is a metaphor used for the garden. Repose is rest. So the poet says, if a man grows one tree, then his labor is rewarded with one tree. Whereas in a garden, the last two lines of of the first stanza, they are a shift from a single man's work and it comes to a garden. A garden has all flowers and all trees. Do close means come together to weave a garland of repose. In a garden, when you enter, there are all flowers growing and all kinds of trees growing, and they weave for you as if a garland of rest. When you have entered a garden, you are automatically gripped by the feeling to take rest there. So this stanza has again the rhyme scheme of amaze, base, AA, C, tree, BB, shade, upbraid, CC, close repose, DD. We continue. Fair quiet have I found thee here. So he personifies quiet. Quiet is peace. The poet says that in a garden, what are found? The spirit of peace. It's a very peaceful place. I have found thee here. I have found you here. And innocence, thy sister dear. So I find quiet here and I find innocence. Innocence is again the written with a big letter I, and which is the personification of the spirit of innocence that dwells in a garden. So quiet and innocence are two sisters found in a garden. Mistaken long I sought you then in busy companies of men. The poet regrets. He says that when I was living with the people, I was trying to find quiet and innocence in the companies of men. We all know that when we are sad, when we need some kind of solitude and genuine innocence, we meet people. We try to find that if we ever will be able to find some people who will be quiet and who would be innocent, he says, Andrew Marvell says, I couldn't find them in the busy companies of men. I couldn't find quiet and innocence. Now, this stanza is about the admiration of a garden. वो एक बगीचे का इतना उसके प्रति इतने प्रसन्न होके बोल रहे हैं कि बगीचे की सबसे खूबसूरती क्या होती है कि वहाँ पर दो चीज़ें मिलती हैं जो मनुष्यों के बीच में नहीं मिल पाती. कौन सी दो चीज़ें? क्वाइट, शांति, और इनोसेंस, निष्पापता. Your sacred plants, if here below, only among the plants will grow. So it's your. Your is about quiet and innocence. He says if genuine quietness and genuine innocence is to be sought, the sacred plants of quietude and innocence here below means on earth. If on earth you want to search for quietness, if you want to search for innocence, on this earth, you will find it only among the plants. Society is all but rude to this delicious solitude. And society which he spoke as the busy company of men, this society is only rude to this delicious solitude. The poet is full of awe and admiration for the garden, and he says, apart from quiet and innocence, you also find one very beautiful thing, solitude. And what kind of solitude? Delicious, tasty. Why? Because in garden, fruit trees also grow. So you also find delicious solitude here. The two stanzas that we have read, the first stanza is about telling a truth about the people. People are unnecessarily vain if they grow just one tree or one or two trees, either a palm or an oak or a bay, and they labor very hard. And when they have labored very hard, they are able to see just a single herb or a tree. And this tree gives a very narrow shade. Whereas in a garden, we find all flowers and all trees, and they create for us garlands of rest. He then continues the admiration of a garden. He says that in a garden, we find quiet and we find innocence, which are the two sisters that give you rest. And then he rebukes himself. He feels very miserable that I was mistaken for a very long period and I was trying to search for quiet and innocence in the busy companies of men. He says, quiet and innocence, your plants, if on earth, can only be found among the plants. And this society is only rude. It does not allow for delicious solitude. So the poem is an admiration of garden, which later on we'll see why does he use the title The Garden. This is all for today. Thank you so much.